Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you here today to the 12th round of this season of the XRRL, the XRRL Realistic League. I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, and co-host XRRL Veloces might not be able to join today, so you're going to have to hear my mug. However, we're looking at an 18-car field coming down to China. Earlier today was the dev race. Interesting circuit, to say the least. China has a lot of very unique sectors, a lot of very unique corners. And I've talked to a lot of people. Almost nobody has been looking forward to partaking in this race today. A lot of people are saying that the curbs, like they are on almost every track in this game, are excessive and are going to lead to a lot of incidents. A lot of people are saying that there aren't very many good overtaking opportunities on this track as well. So there is a high possibility that we'll see a lot of people kind of upset and disappointed as we go forward in the race. Before we get too far into it, I do want to go ahead and talk about the championship fights real quickly that we have in Realistic. Going first at the Manufacturers Championship, per usual, at the bottom is the Mercedes team, and it's not going to help them today because today there are no Mercedes drivers scheduled to show up. Unless I saw wrong, but what I saw last, there were no Mercedes drivers scheduled to show up for today. Ninth is Red Bull. They have 73 points. Haas is finally rebounding, and they are catching the flailing McLaren team. There is a tie for 7th in manufacturers' points with 79 points for McLaren and 79 points for Haas each. 6th is Alfa Romeo. They have 82 points. 5th in the Alpine team, they have 96 points. 4th for Williams has 105 points. Then it's a jump up to 3rd in the Aston Martin team, 158 points. The Scuderia AlphaTauri team has gone to some great strong lengths recently. They're up to 183 points. But at the top, without a doubt, is still Scuderia Ferrari with 221 points. In the Drivers' Championship, things are a little bit different. PPR Venom has yet to earn any points this season. Dave Ewart has earned 1 single point. XRRL Ultimate has officially earned 4 points thus far. Collie Boy has earned 6, which drives him into a tie with XRRL Edgar for 16th. 15th is XRRL 19. He has 13 points. L Frisbee is 14th with 20 points. Mr. Worsen is 13th with 23 points. There's another tie for 11th in points between XRRL Jigsaw and XRRL Yun. 10th is XRRL Flavor with 34 points. He's only 5 out from his teammate Level 6 BCN, who is 9th. The 2 McLarens of XRRL Zola in 8th with 45, and XRRL Raptor in 7th with 69. Nice points. 6th is XRRL Low. He has 75 points. 5th is Ryan Hurricane. He has 82 points. Then we get into the 4 drivers that seem to be establishing themselves at the main championship threat. XRRL Torpedo is 4th with 102 points. Jabez John is 3rd with 107. Smoothie 25 is 2nd with 114 points. At the top is XRRL Matrix with 131 points at the moment. So for Matrix, a great scenario. He has a 17-point lead over his next closest rival. I'm not saying that he can afford to just, flitter away the rest of the season, but he's in a scenario where if he thinks today's race is not going to go good, which is what he talked to me about earlier in the week, that he might be able to rebound and maintain a good enough lead in the championship that won't harm him too much. So as we look now, and we're seeing a bunch of drivers all filtering out onto the circuit, but the first one to get on track today is XRRL 19 in the Williams. As you see, I'm already coming out of Sector 2. Also got to talk with some of the Haas drivers. They say that they believe the Haas machine is going to be relatively strong in Sector 2 today, but the gains that they may have in Sector 2 will be negated by the long straights in Sectors 1 and 3, and they also don't seem to have the greatest confidence when it comes to navigating their car throughout the first several corners in Sector 1. That very long back straightaway there. Oh, and Raptor has had a spin on his outlap there in Sector 2. It looks like he's getting back underway without too much of an issue, though, at least. 19. Backing way down, trying to make sure the ERS is fully charged. He wants to take that final corner at close to top speed as possible, and he invalidates coming out of it. So a very, very poor timing means that 19 has basically wasted an entire lap. So the focus now goes to this man here, Mr. Worsen. He's going to come across the line. He'll try and be the first driver to get a time on the sheets. You see coming out of the pits right now is a Red Bull machine. That would be XRRL Flavor, I believe, who is stepping out. Yep, that's XRRL Flavor, who has come out on circuit now. So I was wrong. There is one Mercedes going to be ranked today, and that will be Dave Ewart. Dave trying desperately to just earn a few more points this season. It's not been great for him in the Mercedes camp. Fizzy, who is the backup and alternate driver in the second Aston Martin car, he is preparing to get underway. We're going to go ahead, ride sides, and spin for a full lap on board with Fizzy 12:58 around China. See what a lap is like here in the Realistic Series. So Fizzy, 12:58, crosses the line with a 1:34.103. At the top right now, though, is Mr. Worston and Gabo, so it seems like the Alfa Romeo team is relatively well set up for today's event. Ozlin now crosses the line with a 34.467. He's on a cooldown lap at this point. Zola is in the middle of a flyer as he's in Sector 3 right now. Matrix, your points leader, is now at top with 133.167. That's a full 7/10 faster than the next closest driver. As you see Zola now streaming down that back straightaway. Raptor's on a cooldown lap right now after he set a 1:34.032. There are 4 cars still in pit lane right now that have not yet set a lap. Now Ozza has improved up to second, 1:33.756, but still, Matrix has over a half-second gap between himself and the next closest person on the track this early on in qualifying. Zola 1:33.998. So the McLaren seem to be putting down comparable lap times. This is Yelebin now, and the AlphaTauri going through Sector 2. It's a little bit behind him there. That's a Haas on a cooldown lap. Now Yelebin goes into a 90-degree entry, and then it gets really tight, and gradually the corner opens up and gets faster and faster and faster. There's a little bit of banking on the outside before you start pouring down one of the longest straightaways in this entire game. It's so long that the DRS zone is basically locked to only being the latter 55% of the straight, realistically. So, and then you navigate a really annoyingly tight hairpin, and then it's a quick run down to a not quite 90-degree angle. There you go. And now Yelebin will cross the line with a 1:34.075. So right now, times are ranging between the 33s and 34s at the moment. Dave Ewart in the Mercedes will be the next driver to cross the line to try and put a time in. He'll be the 14th. 15 drivers will advance to the next round. So right as it stands, there are 3 people who will be at risk of getting dropped out, as we're seeing Ferraris now beginning to leave pit lane. Dave, not a good lap for him, a 1:50.097. And the frustrating thing for him is that there looks like it is XRRL Low, who's a little bit farther ahead of him on the racetrack, going through these twisty bits in Sector 1. Whether it's Low or Ozza, it's still going to potentially give Dave Ewart a bit of aerodynamic weight. Zola retires in pit lane. He feels confident with a 33.998. Dave down on time a little bit at the end of Sector 1. As we're watching time in Sector 2. a lot of medium speed and high speed corners here. This part really stresses the aerodynamic components of the race cars. Oh, big twitch, but he saved it. He's improved significantly now in Sector 2, so he didn't have... I'm guessing he probably spun last time. No issue for him this time, though, so Dave going for another flyer. Laying on the ERS, going down the long back straightaway. He's not fast enough, though, to catch the Alpine that was on track ahead of him. So it will be relatively clear for him through the aerodynamic sectors on this lap. But that also means he's not close enough to get any sort of draft down these straights. Comes out of the hairpin and now into the last corner. Puts the power down and he'll cross the line and will improve to a 134.410. That's good enough for 13th at the moment. Ocean Lion, Davis John, and XRRL Torpedo are all out on track right now. Torpedo ahead of John at the moment. They're not close enough for Torpedo to really give John any sort of drafting ability. The track's relatively calmed down at this point. Lowe has brought it back into pit lane at the moment. And it's actually Ozda who's apparently still out on circuit. He has spent 4 laps on this set of tires. Very interesting decision to say at least. He spun and he's been hit! And Ozda spins and gets hit by Dave Ewart. And that rips the entire front wing off of Dave Ewart's car. And XRRL Ozda has a spin out of Sector 1. And there is nowhere for Dave to go. Dave, the entire front wing ripped off his car for Ozda, who had the second fastest time thus far. The entire front wing's ripped off on his as well. He's very fortunate to not have damage to the car. The bad news for Ozda, though, is that the game is giving him a 5-spot grid penalty for the race due to the incident. So one of your fastest qualifiers is now not going to be able to start any better than 6th today. Frustration, and once Ozda brings that car into pit lane, if we're possible, while they repair the car, we'll try and get word from him on what happened. As you see the 2 Ferraris going down that back straightaway, Davis John actually is getting a small amount of a tow off of the damaged Alpine of XRRL Ozda there. Fizzy has retired in pit lane. He feels confident with a 33.828. Right now, it looks like if you're in the 33s, you're safe to make it into the next round of qualifying. All right. Here comes Torpedo. He'll cross the line with a 34.462. Not a great time. Here comes Davis John. He'll now cross the line with a 33.419. That's the second best time we've seen thus far. But still, Matrix has nearly a quarter second over Davis John right now. So Matrix absolutely dominating the grid over the last several races. And now we see Ozda coming into the pit lane. All right, and coming into the broadcast booth right now real quickly. We're going to try and get Ozda. Ozda, if you're willing or able, go ahead and include your audio. Accident there after returning 4 laps on that set of tires. Why were you out on the tire so long and what happened?
Well, it's Q1. I wanted to get a bit of practice in with the car. And then I spun and then I don't know what he's doing. He obviously has no eyes because he's obviously seen me, and I had my foot on the brake, so it's not like I looked like I was rolling back, and he's obviously hit me, so yeah, it's obviously his fault. I spun, but he's already seen me spun stationary, so yeah, he's obviously got no eyes.
Alright, needless to say, very rough instance. You're lucky, though, that the car is not too terribly damaged. An Ocean Lion has had an accident there in Sector 2, so that's going to take him out. So I do have to ask Ozda, with the time, with the grid penalty assessed to you, do you think you can at least make your way up through the field once the race gets underway?
I mean, I haven't done any actual racing here this week, so I don't know what it'll like around. I feel like with a DRS strain, it's going to be quite hard, but we'll have to see. But honestly, I'm really annoyed. He's always like, yeah, just really annoyed.
All right, well, I do want to say thanks for jumping in. We'll be interested to see what you can do through the rest of qualifying and into the race itself. We're also going to try and reach out to Ocean Line, who has an accident there in Sector 2. Sadly, we did not have any good viewpoints on his car. So with that in mind, as it stands right now, XRRL Torpedo is the driver on the bubble with a 34.462, with Flavor on the outside looking in and Low trying to upset stuff a bit here. 52.7 at the end of Sector 2 for XRL low. Gabo has also retired in the pit lane, 33.942. Now coming onto the back straightaway. This is low. There is a Haas that is exceptionally slow there. That's Ultimate, who has had a spin, apparently, coming out of the last corner. That's not an area you see instance happen at very often. And the frustrating thing for Ultimate is that he's way past the pit entry point. He's stalled. Right, now he's starting to get moving, but there we are. Low jumps up to a 33.503, and now Frisbee jumps up to a 33.533. So now Dave Ewart is the driver on the bubble with 34.4, and Torpedo and Flavor on the outside looking in. Ultimate, though, frustration because the spin has happened at a point where even if he goes really good for this entire lap, he's not going to really be able to capitalize on it by any means. Now, he is hanging out there behind his teammate Nope, never mind. Frisbee let him go. Not sure what's going on there in that team. Anyways, Dave Ewart is out on circuit on an outlap, as is Torpedo and Flavor. They're both trying to improve. Ryan Hurricane is 14th. He is also at potential risk of getting squeezed out, as is Ultimate. For Ultimate, they have to hope they have enough fuel in that Haas that he'll be able to get another lap in. Thing is, for Ryan Hurricane, he's on a flyer right now, but he's coming up on a train of cars, some of them flying, some of them on cooldown or warm-up laps, and it may compromise his time. Low pulls off circuit, so he will not compromise Hurricane. But there's a Red Bull ahead of him. I believe that's Flavor. There's also a Haas ahead as well. Matrix now retires in the pit lane. And we see another Red Bull pull off to let Ryan Hurricane have clean track ahead. So now the track's relatively clean for him. The focus goes to Dave Ewart now, trying to advance to the next round of qualifying. Torpedo and Flavor also on track. This is Dave's second attempt on this set of tires. He did not validate the last, he was not on a valid lap apparently on the first time. Or he may have backed out. He might have backed out, I just didn't notice. Jabez John, who has the second fastest time, he is retired in the pit lane. Alright, Dave's already up by over a third of a second in Sector 1 alone. There's nobody ahead of him on track, so if he can just maintain that gain, he will be up to about 12th on the timesheets. 2 minutes left in the session. It looks like it's the Alpine of Low has come into the pits, and there's been a spin, and that's Ryan Hurricane who has had a spin coming out of that twisty bit at the top of the circuit. He is back underway now, but this is not going to help him. He needs to hope that Dave, Torpedo, and Flavor cannot maximize their laps. Otherwise, there's a high likelihood that he'll get squeezed out. All right, here comes Dave Ewart onto the back straightaway now. That's 19. It looks like XRRL 19 has had an instant there right before the back straightaway, but we're still watching Dave coming to the line. He'll have time for one more lap, but I don't know if he'll have the fuel for another lap. But as he'll cross the line, he sets down a time, 1:33.968. That's good enough for 10th. So the focus now goes to Flavor and Torpedo. Clean track ahead for Flavor. 199 miles an hour at the end of that straightaway. Navigates the hairpin and now begins to try and straighten the car out for the run to the line. Cross it. Flavor, does he improve? Yes, Flavor, 1:33.859, impressive turn. So now Ultimate is on the bubble. Ryan Hurricane is on the outside looking in, and with no fuel, it looks like he's not going to be able to advance. Torpedo, he crosses the line, but he's only able to improve by 0.08 of a second. He needs to improve by about he needs to improve by about 22 hundredths right now. Ultimate on an outlap. Will he be able to make it to the line before the clock is up? Torpedo up by half of what he needs to be up by in Sector 1 alone. Ultimate made it to the line, but not, according to the game, it was not in time. So the game says that Ultimate does not get another chance. So a possible bad timing issue by Ultimate, and now but he might still be able to advance if Torpedo's not fast enough. Torpedo's lost a bunch of time in Sector 2. He needs to navigate Sector 3 perfectly, and he's pulled out. He has aborted, so Torpedo says that he cannot realizes he cannot advance to the next round. So that's it. The session is over. Frustration for Ultimate, because it looked like he may have been able to make it work, but he just slightly mistimed it, did not get to the start-finish line before this time was up. But the good news for Ultimate, though, is that he'll still be 15th and he will still advance into Q2. So one Haas in the top 4 on the timesheets. One Haas barely makes it into the next round of qualifying. And that is it. And both Dave Ewar and Asta have grid penalties for the race. So they're both going to have to try and qualify to their absolute best just to basically try to break even. Not great for either of them, to say the least. The drivers who do not advance, Ocean Lion, who crashed out, XRRL Torpedo was not able to get a lap in, and Ryan Hurricane will not advance either. All right, now we get into the session of qualifying where they decide what tires they're going to be on. The top 10 fastest drivers at the end of Q2 advance into Q3 in the pole shootout, but the tires that they set their fastest times on will be the tires that they have to start the race on. Already on pit lane, you can see that although softs have a slight advantage, it looks like they're... Oh, no, I take that back. Mediums seem to be the preferred tire choice, at least for the start. The first driver to get out on circuit, though, looks like it's going to be Frisbee, and there is a bunch of drivers rushing to get out onto the circuit. Now, one other thing we do want to say, there is anticipation for rain to fall in the race itself, but also the expectation is that qualifying is going to be dry. But the number of drivers who rush to get out onto the circuit, I have to wonder if maybe they've seen or heard something that we're not aware of. XRRL 19 has actually overtaken Frisbee, so 19 is going to try and be the first driver to get a lap in. Nearly the entire field already coming out onto the circuit. Is there a risk for rain? That's the new question now. Everyone seems to be coming out with the exception of XRRL Low. So 14 of our 15 drivers on track early on in this session. This could get very interesting. Riding on board Fizzy here, and he's in the back of this train of cars. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of stop and going in this group as everyone tries to get gaps opened up going down the straight. Fizzy actually looks to try and get by Ultimate, but Ultimate's not going to let him by. So there's just not enough racetrack for a lot of these guys to make moves. Not make them cleanly, at least. And making contact under qualified normally brings with a hefty penalty. All right, Fizzy backs off enough to enable that he's not going to have to worry about other drivers. 19 going to come across the line very shortly here. Ozda, he's backing off coming out of the hairpin. but he's got Delebin behind him, and now Delebin's trying to figure out how to navigate this, so he's not held up, so he backs off. Now we see Ultimate backing way off. This is Dave Ewart, he's backing off, coming out of the hairpin. Really start and stoppy in the last sector. The top three got a decent gap on the drivers ahead of him. Delebin actually is losing time to the drivers ahead, so that's working out well enough for him. Ultimate got clean track on for him, but Fizzy now is in the middle of a pack of cars. There's one guy ahead of him in the Haas, and then there's a train of guys behind them. This is Raptor. He's got really bad. He's stuck behind Dave Ewart right now on the circuit. He's not the only one. This is Flavor. Flavor has Davis Dawn ahead of him, and the McLaren Azola behind him. There's going to be a lot of laps here that are not going to be very good or very competent due to being held up in Sector 2 in the aerodynamic wake of the cars ahead. Only 5 drivers have the soft tires equipped. Frisbee, 19, Fizzy, Mr. Worsen, and Gabo. You see Flavor really struggling in the aerodynamic wake of Davis Dawn's machine. Oh, and there goes around the Mercedes! And Dave Ewart's qualifying goes from bad to worse as he was putting the power down, coming onto the back straightaway, and the car went around on him. Now he spins again. The rear tires have totally melted. Not a good scenario for the Mercedes camp. At the top, 19 has the advantage of clean track. He sets a time 133.778. Now Ozza is second, 134.5303. Fizzy now jumps up ahead of that, 33.979. Gabo to the top, 133.648. Lowe has finally is coming out onto the circuit, but there's so much traffic that he has to wait pretty much before he can merge onto the track. Oh wow, Gabo has to overtake Frisbee here under the safety, not in the safety car, but under qualifying conditions, and Gabo apparently is going for another lap, I guess. Either that or there's been something wrong there. Well, there is something wrong. Lowe has come to almost a stop. He's all the way off circuit there. So there may be something wrong with Lowe's machine. Coming right out of the pits. Frisbee was not able to get a lap in, and Dave Ewart, although he did get a lap in, it was not a valid lap. The frustrating thing for the Haas driver of Frisbee is that this lap is not valid either, but everyone from 12th on up to 1st have set laps, but a large spread in times that has been massively compromised the amount of dirty air on the racetrack. Gabo at the front, 33.6. Raptor at the back of this group, 35.1. So roughly a 1.5 second gap from fastest to slowest actual laps. Raptor does have a bit of advantage though. There's a larger gap between himself and the driver ahead this time, and the person ahead of him this time around is his teammate Zola. So he might be able to get an aerodynamic draft off of Zola. Zola has his own situation though. He is held up behind Flavor's machine, and you can see he's really struggling putting the power down, and he's off! He's around! He's around! Coming onto the back straightaway, right in front of his teammate. Raptor now has clean track ahead of him. Will he be able to improve on his time? As we're seeing drivers filter into the pit lane, Gabo's on pit. Jelebin is in the pit lane now. Raptor coming to the line. He's going to try and make something happen. Davis Dawn coming in. Now Flavor coming in the pits. Raptor has aborted. He's coming into the pits. The fuel is low. Dave is staying out because he's finally going to get a lap in, and I think I see rain falling on the circuit. Dave, 136.190. There might be rain falling on the racetrack. Yes, rain is falling on the racetrack. So anyone who is in the middle of the lap right now, it must make their lap count because at any moment things could change. And this means for drivers like Gabo, Fizzy, 19 and Worsen, they'll be in a great position. This means for the McLarens of Zola and Raptor, it's really borderline if they're going to be able to advance. Flavor is on the outside looking in. Dave Ewart's on the outside looking in. Frisbee is trying to make something happen. Lowe aborted his attempt. There was something wrong with his car, and he came into pit lane and did not make an attempt. So Frisbee trying to get into the next round of qualifying, but the track is wettening up. He's getting the draft off of his teammate Ultimate down the straight here. Dives into the hairpin. Ultimate gets right out of his way. Very nicely done there. Will that be enough to get the Haas to get a good lap time in? I don't think it will be, though. The track does not look good. Coming out of the, he's invalidated. Frisbee invalidates out of the final quarter. He will not advance. Because with the rate that the track is getting wetter and wetter, I think this is it. We're not going to see anyone else set laps here. Dave is in the middle of a lap right now, coming onto the back straightaway. Lowe back on another outlap, but again has had an issue or some sort of incident, so there must be something wrong with Lowe's machine. And for Dave, this would be horrible because he's not able to improve on his lap time. The 5-spot grid penalty he has means that Dave is just basically going to get forced to start dead last. And that looks like it's going to be what happens because he is aboard. He is coming into the pits now. So now Frisbee is the only guy on track who's technically on a lap. But even then, he's low on fuel. He's not going to be able to do it. I think qualifying's over. Alright, Ozda, nothing personal. I have to mute you because the fucking chip-eating ASMR in my ear is driving me crazy. Alright, so anyways, so for all intents and purposes, this session of qualifying is over. Fizzy, they have put on intermediate tires for his car in pit lane, but not having the DRS will have a massive negative effect. James John down. He has set time 134.606 on his fastest. DRS is still enabled for the moment, and he's on soft tires trying to make this happen. I'm not sure what the strategy is here. Lowe also going to try for another lap. John will have the advantage of running on soft rubber, and there's no one on track, but the track is wetting up real quickly here. And there's a high risk that the car could go out on him. He has a time that would lock him safely into the next round of qualifying. That was close, but he still keeps it legal. But yeah, just with the amount of wetness on the track alone, he's down by 1.2 seconds off of his prior best time. And that prior time has been set on mediums as well. And he's not laying on the ERS either by the looks of it. So he's going purely by normal engine power and whatever grip there is on track. Of note, Flavor and Raptor are also on circuit right now, both of them turning laps on soft tire compounds to try and sneak into the next round. DRS is still active, but I think there's just not enough grip on the circuit. And yep, they're all going to abort, so they cannot. The track is now so wet, they're not going to be able to improve. Lowe is the only person who might be in a good position because he might be able to squeeze by Frisbee and jump up to 14th on the timesheet just by virtue of setting a lap. But other than that, I think this is it. Dave, you are on another outlap now. Fizzy has retired. Glebin, Ultimate, Zola have all retired as well. And Lowe will cross the line, 139.376, so Lowe gets a 14th at the least. Now Matrix retires, now Ozda retires. Right now it seems like only Dave, Ewart, and Lowe are on track at the moment, so we could see a relatively early end to this qualifying session. Lowe on a cooldown lap, and Dave, he's on an outlap right now, but I don't see any way that he's going to be able to go faster. The track is getting significantly wetter faster. He nearly goes off circuit there. There's just no grip on the racetrack. You can see and hear how much he's backing out of the throttle around the circuit. DRS still active somehow, which is the really shocking part. Although we see he's not even going to utilize it because he's not even on a fly or anything at this point. And with less than 3 minutes left, there will not be a chance for Dave to come back out onto the circuit. Low on fuel. And we're anticipating he's going to come into the pits as well here. Yeah, it seems like they're out of fuel in that machine. So this seems to be it. Flavor now retires. We're just waiting on Raptor and Lowe to retire, and it will be an early end to the final round of qualifying. There you see, in the end, fastest times. Gabo, Fizzy, 19 and Worsen all will be starting the race on soft tires. Ozda, Matrix, Jabus, John, Jalebin, Ultimate Zola will be starting on mediums. That is assuming the surface itself is not wet at race start. The drivers that will not advance will be Flavor, Raptor, Davey, Wart, and XRL Low. I've tried several times to get Dave Ewart into the party to hear what he has to say about what happened in Q1, but he has not accepted any invites, so yeah. Now the circuit is completely soaked. Ten drivers going for pole position. Already we're seeing the first drivers coming out onto the circuit. It looks like it's going to be Mr. Worsen, who I believe actually hails from China itself. Trying to perform well here on what's his home track. He'll be the first one to come out onto this track. About half the field coming onto the circuit. Now nearly everyone is on circuit. The only person who doesn't seem to be making a move onto track right now is Jalebin. So now every single car out on circuit. All right, and now the first lap underway for Worsen. Everyone has the intermediate tires on. There's no DRS available either. So lap times are going to be a lot slower than what we were seeing before. Before we were seeing times in the 133s. Now we're probably going to be seeing times in the high 140s. You can see very Ginger on the throttle. Now he finally gets to open it up. Dives it into a hairpin. This hairpin alone would be messy. If not for a fact, there's an even tighter one at the end of the circuit. Comes out without issue. And he starts utilizing ERS again. And that's the other thing you have to be worried about. ERS usage and applying ERS on a wet circuit. Very hard to control that much power. Gabo 360-720 has just crossed the line to begin his lap, and Jalebin is still on the back straightaway. So I think those two are in a good position. They have a lot of clean track ahead of them, and behind them, so that even if people ahead of them make mistakes, they are not at risk of getting the aerodynamic wash of those mistakes. So, as it is right now, we see Mr. Worsen pumping along, and Ozda is on track just behind them. But Ozda not able to really do anything except kind of hope that he's close enough to Worsen they can get a good draft off of him down the straight. And honestly, the gap between the two of them is big enough, I don't think it will happen. Now into the hairpin is Mr. Worsen. 33, so right now, at this point, he would have been done with the lap if the track was still dry. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 45.990 for Mr. Worsen. That's the fastest time thus far. Ozda now goes onto the board with a 46.097. Fizzy with a 46.887. Now we see the McLaren of XRRL Zola coming to the line. As we watch 19 coming into the hairpin, he has Ultimate ahead of him on circuit. Zola will cross the line with a 146.613. Then it will be the Haas of Ultimate. Ultimate's going to cross the line with a 145.652. And now we see 19 crosses with a 47.137. So Ultimate may be able to steal a pole position for the Haas team under wet weather conditions. Jabez Dom, 46.325. Matrix, 46.601. And Gabo has had an incident and has crashed coming out of the last corner. So Jalebin now going to be the last driver to put a lap in for a session. Spread of about 1.5 seconds from the top to the bottom. Jalebin slaps in 7th, 46.675. All right, and coming into the party now is Gabo. Gabo, go ahead, make sure your audio's included. Accent here in Q3 will keep you from starting any better than 10th. What happened?
Yeah, they took around here in the west so slippery, so yeah, I just lost the rear in the last corner and well now.
Alright, well you're going to be starting 10th. Do you think you'll be able to bring that machine up into a podium position in the race though?
Yeah, hopefully, because I believe the rain is coming at the last part of the race, so everything can happen.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to seeing what you can do. Say at least, shame to see you out so early in pole qualifying. Alright, so now we watch... Yeah, we'll be looking forward to what you can do in the race, and it's a shame to see you out in qualifying early.
Yeah, thanks. See you guys.
Alright, Jabez now goes to the top with a 45.559. So one Ferrari-powered car takes the point from the other one. There's been an instance that's Fizzy, who has had a spin there, coming out of the hairpin, and now DRS has been enabled. So circumstances have changed, although everyone is still on the intermediate tires. With DRS coming back into play, you can go back out onto the circuit and go significantly faster now. So for drivers like Worsen, this is great news. He's in the middle of the lap right now, and will be able to get DRS going down the straight. Jalebin coming in the pit lane. Ozda has thrown on a set of soft tire compounds, but the track is still damp. A lot of people, I imagine, are going to be rushing the last 2 minutes try and get on circuit, and we may have a lot of aero wash being an issue. Now we see Ultimate has also thrown on a set of soft tires on his Haas. Now Matrix has done the same thing. And now Ozda beginning to make the drive out of pit road. And Worsen has aborted. So the track is dry enough that everyone seems to agree that going onto soft tires is the ideal way to go. The first one to do so is Ozda. The thing is, the track is still a little bit damp. See the McLaren of Zola coming into the pits. And I imagine Fizzy's going to come into pit as well. Jabaston, he comes in. Now 11 and 19 have both put on soft tire compounds in pit lane. But right now, only one driver is out on track. That is XRL Ozda. Now we see 11 coming down pit road. So two guys coming out into the circuit. I'm anticipating we'll see the pole time be set at about 1:34 or so. Worsen has equipped soft tires. Nothing yet from Zola, Fizzy, or Jabaston, but I imagine they'll adapt sooner rather than later. One thing that Ozda is going to have working against him, though, is that he's going to be able to get 2 laps in on this set of tires. Now we see a McLaren and Zola coming out onto the circuit. But he's basically drying off the line for a lot of other drivers who are starting to come out onto the track. We see Zola now coming down pit lane, and now I'm seeing another Aston Martin, and here comes Jabaston down pit lane as well. So now that Ozda has dried off the main racing line a little bit, they're going to go ahead and run on the line that he's dried off to try and go faster. The counterpoint, though, is that Ozda will have 2 laps that he can go for. So as long as fuel is not an issue in that Alpine machine, he might be able to still maximize on a second lap and get a good qualifying position. Again, Ozda trying to outrun a 5-spot grid penalty for a collision between himself and Dave Ewart in Q1. Now we're seeing almost everyone has come out on circuit at this point. The only ones who have not is Mr. Worsen and XRL 19. As I say that, XRL 19 has now come onto the track. Now also Jalebin has just crossed the start-finish line, so he's in the middle of the lap. Ozda already up by 6.6 seconds out of Sector 2 alone. And through Sector 3 is where we're going to see the biggest beneficiary of time. Zola backing off on his outlap, so he wants other drivers to get ahead of him. All these other drivers on circuit right now, they're only going to get 1 lap at this. All right, coming to the line is Ozda. Real aggressive over the last corner. Ozda improves to a 35.398. He needs to go faster, though, because the drivers coming up on track behind him will have a great lap of their own on the way. Jabaston will be the next driver to cross the line. Big twitch coming out of the final corner. Change it back to best tires, although we will see all those intermediates swap over to softs as it goes on, but this will give us a good idea. If drivers invalidate on their lap, we will not see the tire compound change when they cross the line. All right, Jalebin, now he goes to the top, 35.365. So again, the advantage of coming out onto the track a little bit later is coming into play for him. So I imagine we're going to see a great lap time here by Jabaston. As we look at the clock ticking down, time's up, over, plow. Jabaston up by 7.4 seconds. So at that rate, he would be able to go for a 133, maybe even a 132. Ozda diving into the hairpin. Is he up by very much time at the end of this lap? Final corner for Ozda in the Alpine. His teammate Lowe not able to advance out of Q2. Ozda, 133.487. What can Davis John do? .133.4 flat. So the times are falling here. Right on board with Matrix. Up ahead you can see Zola and Fizzy. Both on laps right now. They're coming to the line. Fizzy will come to the line first, then Zola, then Matrix. Fizzy, 34.0. Zola, 33.699. Matrix to the top, 33.148. Ultimate now comes to the line. 34.306. Now here comes Mr. Worsen. 33.766. Deleb in the boards and comes into the pit lane. He does not have fuel for another lap. 19 across the line. 33.731. That's it. The session is over. And it's your points leader, XRRL Matrix, who benefits and is at the top of the timesheets now. And good job on Jablis John, despite being only the third driver to get a lap in on these drying conditions. He was faster than almost everyone else on the circuit. So good job to Jablis John and good job to Ozda as well. First driver out there. He set his best lap on some of the worst conditions and still gets a third, 33.487. The bad news for Ozda, that will actually convert into an 8th place starting position due to time penalties. There's the final results there. So Matrix continues his domination, top of the timesheets by over a quarter of a second. So earlier on in the season, it looked like we were going to have a multi-way fight for the title, but if Matrix can keep it together in the race like he did in qualifying, we may see him start to walk off with the championship here. And we now begin the countdown until the start of the race itself. We're actually ahead of time when it comes to qualifying. Normally, we're a little bit behind time, and we start a little bit after the hour. But right now, it looks like we might be able to start right on top of the hour itself. Standby right now will be about 3.5 minutes until we get into the race itself. Real quickly, we do want to go over the championship standings. We did this before we got into qualifying, but we're going to go ahead one more time for those of you who missed it early on. At the bottom is the Mercedes team, and only Dave Ewar is representing them, and Dave's going to be starting from dead last. Red Bull, 973 points. 8th is Haas, tied with 7th McLaren. They both are at 79. 6th is Alfa Romeo, 82. Alpine has 96. Williams, 105. Aston Martin, 158. AlphaTauri, 183. Scuderia Ferrari, 221. In the Drivers' Championship, At the top, Matrix, 131 points. That gives us a 17-point lead over Smoothie, 25 in second. Gave us John, third, 107. XRL Torpedo, fourth, 102. Ryan Hurricane, fifth, 82. XRL Low, sixth, 75. Then the McLarens of Raptor and Zola with 69 and 45 points each. Then the Red Bulls, Beastin with 39 and Flavor with 34. Yun is 11th with 26, which brings him into a tie with Jigsaw. 13th is Mr. Worsen, 23 points. Frisbee is 14th, 20 points. XRL 19 is 15th with 13. Edgar has only earned 6 points, as is Collie Boy. XRL Ultimate has only earned 4 points thus far this season. Dave Ewart has only earned 1 point, 19th. PPR Venom has not earned any points yet this season. As we prepare to get underway for the race itself, and we look very briefly at the tire compound that everyone's going to be starting on. As we look closer to the back, everyone near the back of the grid is starting on softs with 2 exceptions. Torpedo starting 16th. He's going to elect to start the race on medium tires. And Flavor in 11th. He's also going to be starting on mediums. Then you get into the top 10. And we saw earlier, Gelebin, Ozda, and Ultimate, they're all going to be starting on medium tires. And the top 3 stars, Zola, Javis, John, Matrix, they also will all be starting on medium tires for the race today. We should be getting underway in about a minute's time here. Early into Q2, due to the rain coming down and encouraging everyone to abort before we even got through the main 15-minute period, and then relatively early into Q3 as well, as the session ended almost right after the time was over. So shortened qualifying session means we'll get into the race itself a lot quicker. All right, here we are. About 15 seconds till we get underway for the race itself now. Four lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out. Away we go here. Not a great run by Raptor back there in the back of the grid. And there's an accident. 2, 3, 4. A bunch of cars involved. A massive accident. And Ozza involved right at the start of the race. A gigantic accident at the start of the event. And it's Ozda who goes out right at the start. Fizzy now has a 5-second penalty for a collision with Mr. Worsen. But a multi-car incident at the start of the race. We'll see a bunch of drivers with damage right at the start. All right, coming into the party right now is XRL Ozda. Ozda, go ahead. Make sure your audio is included. Big accident at the start. What happened? What did you see there?
I lost traction, basically. So, yeah, it's all my fault. If there's any penalties to be blamed on anyone, it's me.
All right, well, a gigantic incident. So you'd say 100% your own fault. Sorry to see that after trying to recover from the rough qualifying run. Do you think you'll be able to rebound at least next week?
Give me a sec. I need to see what track it is next week. It actually doesn't say, so I have no idea. It depends what track it is, but I'm hoping to.
All right, well, massive incident at the start. Shame to see you out. The good news is it only seems to be you out. Thanks for being willing to talk with us, though.
No worries.
All right, we have not gotten any word that they're going to be redoing the race start. So, with that in mind, yeah, but there was at least 3 to 5 different guys who were involved. And under the safety car, we're going to see a lot of people near the back of the grid come into the pits to repair damage to their machines. There you see Fizzy, he's coming into the pits. Mr. Worsen is going to come in as well. You see that is Ryan Hurricane coming into the pits. Flavor's coming in, almost the entire back part of the grid coming in to repair damage under the safety car. Yeah, basically, now the interesting thing is a lot of drivers are going to use this to try and get onto an alternate set of tires as well. Not all of them, but a good portion of them will use it. But that means that they still haven't officially made their first tire change. You have to turn about 2 laps on an alternate set of tires for it to count as a tire swap. Although realistically, I don't think tire swap's going to matter too much because there's still a lot of drivers and a lot of teams are anticipating rain to fall in the last third of this race, and if the rain falls, then tire allocation no longer matters. But if that doesn't happen, then yes, tire allocation would still matter. At the front, though, XRRL 19, he is the highest up of everyone who started on the soft tires. It looks like he's going to be restarting in the 4th position. This could work out well for him, but we're going to be under this safety car for a long time. We may not even go green until about lap 4, frankly. See Fizzy closing into the back of the grid. And he'll bring with him Ryan Hurricane and Mr. Worsen. Gabo now rushing up to catch the grid. So he now catches the grid. Flavor, he comes out of the hairpin and he's now caught the back. It's going to take Davey Raptor and the rest of them a little bit of time to do it. And 19 is pitting now. So he's going to give up a lot of track position, but he is electing to get off the soft tires. And I honestly would consider throwing on hards and trying to run hards as long as you could, with the anticipation that you would be able to maybe only make 1 stop onto the intermediates when rain falls. But they are going to medium tires on that in that team. So 19 now falls back to the 16th position on racetrack. That will split the AlphaTauris as Glebin has caught the back of the grid, but Ocean Lion hasn't even caught 19 yet. Ocean Lion had some of the worst damage in that lap 1 instant right off the safety car. Not even off the safety car, I'm sorry, right off the line. I don't know why I said right off the safety car, right off the line. But Ocean should be able to catch the back of the grid here, and will be going green by the looks of it on lap 4. So Matrix did good on race start. Zola has now jumped up to 2nd, and Zola trying to recover at least a little bit of pride, as the McLaren team in general had high hopes going into the season, and it's just been bad run after bad run for most of them. Trying to just recover and have a good run here, and he'll be going after Matrix. There's the word officially, safety car will be coming in this lap. How does Matrix bunch up the field coming to the green flag? And the other thing to consider, how you see a lot of drivers weaving back and forth. They only really, a lot of these guys only had about a few dozen meters to really put on their tires under race temperature. Other than that, they've been under pace speed. They've not really have any heat in their tires. You do not want to go ahead and put the power down coming out of that final corner and spin. It'd be an embarrassing way to restart, especially if you just survived what happened early on. Davey Martin Raptor at the back of the grid. They will be on soft tires and be trying to fly up to the grid. Coming out of the last corner, Matrix right there backing Zola up to the field. We're underway once again here at China. Zola looking to the outside of Matrix, but cannot hold it very well. Matrix steps out wide though, going into turn 1. Zola trying to close back in. Raptor falls back to 15, so not a good restart for the second McLaren. Zola trying to hold Davis John off as Matrix is gone into the distance. Haas of Ultimate dives to the inside of the Ferrari. Contact between Davis John and Ultimate, and now they're drag racing out of the hairpin. And it looks like the Haas has the advantage, but the Ferrari has the preferred lane of choice. Still side by side, and the Haas has to pull out of it in the end. Matrix already a 1.3 second gap on the rest of the field. Davis down right there behind Zola. Ooh, twist from Zola. Now Ultimate comes to the inside. Davis John, neck and neck again. A little bit of contact. It's the battle for third continuing. The Haas in a drag race with the Ferrari. This is not anticipated to go well. The Ferrari has dragged McLaren, but it looks like the Haas is actually going to maybe make it work going into the braking zone. Contact on the McLaren ahead. Still a drag race between the Haas and the Ferrari. This time the Haas has the draft. He has the outside line. They're still side by side. The Ferrari has the nose ahead, but I think the Haas will have the advantage going into 1. Or maybe not. Another bit of contact. And now it twists over, and now the advantage goes in the favor of the Ferrari. The Haas is not able to make the crossover work. Interestingly enough, Zola did not really pull away in all that. The only one who is, oh, and Lowe's gone off circuit. Lowe loses several positions, falls back to 6, might even lose that to the Ferrari of Torpedo. Torpedo already on a good recovery drive, avoiding the lap 1 incident. He's up in 7th now. Zola off circuit there, and now Davis John pounces. He wants to move up into 2nd. He feels that he has a stronger chance at running down Matrix. Can't make it sick though. There's really no grip on the outside. Now Ultimate's there. He wants in on this fight. He gets to the inside of Zola. He'll get it, but he twitches. Now they're all over the place. 3 wide for the 2nd position. Here comes the other Haas now. All on top of each other going down the straightaway. Going into the braking zone, someone's going to have to pull out. Who's it going to be? And it's going to be the Ferrari, but there's even, while pulling out, there's really not enough room. As we ride with Lowe here, and Matrix already opened up nearly a 5-second gap on 2nd position in this fight. Frisbee going hard on Zola. Everyone from 2nd on back cannot stop fighting with each other. 19 came into the pits. There was damage. Oh, and Zola's had a twitch. A spin. Almost lost it. He's around, and Lowe's around. One of your potential championship contenders has now fallen down the order to 14th at 15th after spinning. No damage to the car, but a lot of bad track position. And now Haas drivers go 1-2 on the racetrack. Davis John's lost positions. He's now fallen to 4th. Zola somewhat rebounds in 5th, but there's a big gap between himself and the rest of the field, and he has to deal with another Ferrari. That's Torpedo right behind him now. But everything's changed all of a sudden. The Matrix has opened up at a rate of about over a second a lap, is extending his lead as the rate this is going. Matrix is going to have a free pit stop in his favor before he even get halfway through the event. See, Raptor gets by Flavor there for a 13th position, and Fizzy gets by Dave Ewart. Dave really struggling, even though he has this faster tires, he seems to be struggling, making use of them. Farther up the grid, Torpedo right there behind Zola. He has DRS. He's going to dive to the inside. Side by side, going into the braking zone. Who's it going to be? And Torpedo gets it. Although Zola does a good job holding on there. And Ryan Hurricane in position to watch, but it looks like Torpedo has it. Zola has to back out. Torpedo goes wide. Zola cuts back to avoid. Drag race down the straight. Zola has DRS. He'll pull ahead of Torpedo. Now Ryan Hurricane does the same. And Ryan now makes a mistake there in turn 1, but Torpedo's still having trouble keeping the power down. Ooh, the Ferrari really offline there. That's a drag race between the Ferrari and the Williams going into the next corner. At the hairpin. Ferrari gets it, but does not seem like he's very happy with that car at the moment. This is Fizzy Rain behind Ryan Hurricane, and Ryan's around, and they're both off! And Mr. Worsen somehow got involved in it, and it looks like that car is still alive. Worsen made contact with Ryan, but Worsen is still alive. But for Ryan Hurricane, a spin, a twitch, and he went right around. And Fizzy got really lucky in that all, because it looked like he was going to get destroyed in that, but that car is still in one piece. Zola now losing a position in Torpedo down the straight. Torpedo has DRS while Zola does not, so that works even more in favor of the Ferraris. Ferrari's now 4th and 5th. Davis hanging on behind the Haas machines. Frisbee hanging on in 2nd, Ultimate in 3rd. So at this point in the race, at least, it's a great showing by the Haas gang. Davis done! It's into the inside wall, hard! And another one of your championship contenders involved, and for Matrix, the race goes, this day keeps getting better and better as every single championship contender seems to be running into issues except for himself. Matrix has now opened up nearly a 7-second gap on Frisbee, and with this incident for Davis Dillon happening after the pit lane entry point, he's gonna have to circle around the entire circuit with a damaged car. There might be a risk he goes a lap down even, as Worsen and Ryan Hurricane have both come into the pits. Worsen repairing front wing damage, so he must have taken some damage in that incident. They also throw on hard tires, and he'll probably run that until the rain eventually comes later on. Ryan Hurricane, same thing. They repair the front wing finally. Hard tires that will likely stay on that car to the end of till the rain shows back up. Dave Ewart right there behind Zola. Dave's coming from the last place starting position. He's worked his way up into 6th on the soft tires. The counterpoint to that, though, is that the soft tires will start falling off eventually, and when they do, he's going to be in a world of hurt. Zola, though, ahead on the medium tires, does not seem to be very happy with that car whatsoever. Really having a lot of trouble basically entering and mid-corner in the McLaren camp, but they're good enough on exit that he's able to do well. However, this is a DRS straightaway, and for Zola, he does not have DRS. The Mercedes does. Dave dives to the inside and will make this an easy DRS overtake. He misses the corner. Dave Ewart blows and misses the corner completely. This gives Fizzy a chance now to make something happen. And he runs to the back of Dave and has to come into the pits. There may have been wing damage on that. We didn't see any wing damage, but wing damage may have occurred. Ultimate still hanging out behind his teammate Frisbee. Torpedo hanging out there in the 4th spot. So there's still a Ferrari pressuring the 2 Haas machines, but it's not the same one it was earlier. Davis Dillon finally coming into the pit lane now to repair the damage to his car. Dave still hanging out there behind Zola, but really having trouble making an overtake happen. He's got a better car, but Zola's doing a good enough job that Dave's only really able to get alongside in the DRS zones. Big twitch there. The aerodynamic wake off the McLaren really sabotaging the Mercedes run here. This is one of Dave's best runs he's had all season long, but both of them are really struggling with the car hard, and it's letting Gabo there in 7th close in. Also, all this time in the aerodynamic wake is causing Dave to burn through the life of those soft tires even faster than they normally would be. Oh, Zola. There they are, side by side. drag race. Dave's gonna have DRS though. Zola will not. And Torpedo has overtaken Ultimate with some DRS assists there. Dave finally buys Zola. Ultimate still close enough to make something happen to the Ferrari. He's right underneath the Ferrari's rear wing, has DRS, and they're both flying down the straight. Ultimate gonna pull onto the inside. He wants third back from the Ferrari. There's a little bit of contact. He'll get it. I don't think Torpedo's gonna be very happy with the way that went down. But the Haas team has truly come to life over the last 2 weeks. And this is the third week now where they're both in very good conditions. So now Torpedo hangs out behind the Haas again. And in Sector 2, this is where the Haas drivers feel that they're at their strongest at. Torpedo's struggling a bit in the aerodynamic wake. Farther back on the grid, Mr. Worsen is closing in on Fizzy 1258. Fizzy had to repair damage from an earlier incident, so he's now on soft tires, and Worsen is right behind him on hards. But everyone 14, 15, 16, they're on hards, and like I said, we're anticipating they will stay on those hards until the rain inevitably falls. The big thing that those three are going to want to see, though, is a yellow flag to bunch the field up. Torpedo back by Ultimate down the straight. This time, Torpedo has a much bigger gap on Ultimate than he did before. Torpedo not close enough to get DRS on Frisbee going down the straight this time, though. But I think that's almost an inevitability. I think the Ferrari is just fast enough that he will inevitably get by the Haas machines. Zola hanging out behind Dave, and now that Dave's gotten ahead of Zola, you'd think it would work out in Dave's favor. But I think we're getting to the point where the soft tires are starting to fall off just a bit. So he's not really able to open the gap on Zola the way he wants to. Gabo, who was involved in that accident right at the start of the race, he's there in 7th right now. Fizzy's just set the fastest lap of the race on the stuff, so good job on for him. But Gabo, who had to repair damage after the race started, he is now up in the 7th spot, stalking Zola and Dave, but not really close enough to do anything to them. And a little bit farther back, Raptor. He is hanging on to the back of Lowe and Glebin. Not really making any good moves forward. Didn't have a great restart. Lost some positions. And now he's hanging out in 10th, and those tires are not going to work out in his favor as this race goes on because the softs are going to fall off more and more. Farther up, near the front, Torpedo has DRS on Frisbee down the back straightaway. Not close enough to make a dive into the hairpin. Oh, but Frisbee botched the corner. And that's all he needed. Torpedo now goes up at the 2nd. Ooh, big twist off of Torpedo's part, though. And now Frisbee has DRS on the Ferrari. Goes to the outside, a very interesting decision. And he cuts him off. Matrix continues to expand the lead by about a second a lap ever since the green flag fell. Although Torpedo, I think part of that is because the Haas cars are just not very fast. Torpedo is definitely faster than them, but it looks like the Haas drivers are doing a great job putting up a robust defense, to say the least. Once again, you can see Frisbee has a good run coming onto the straight, but Torpedo will have DRS And that, coupled with a better aerodynamic package, will enable the Ferrari to move into second pretty much without issue. Frisbee's going to stick it on the inside, going through the hairpin. A little bit of contact. Torpedo goes off circuit just a bit, but Frisbee trying to put up a defense, but the DRS works so bad for the Haas. But it looks like this time Torpedo has that position for good. Or maybe not, because Frisbee comes back in turn 1. Side by side still for second. And Frisbee has to back out of it, but he's faster than the Ferrari. Here we go, dive bomb into the hairpin. And Frisbee back into second, and Lowe's had an incident on circuit. Oh, and that's right in the racing line. It's a full course yellow. And now 19 has just had a collision with Fizzy that apparently is awarded a safety car. And Lowe, who was rebounding in the championship fight, out. And this will be horrible for the Alpine team. Full course safety car now out on circuit. Hurricane taking advantage of this to throw on a set of medium tires, so he thinks that he'd be willing to sacrifice some track position, which he didn't have a whole lot of, to get better tires. Matrix with a 14.3 second advantage over the rest of the field. Does he elect to pit under the safety car? Yes, he does. He will get off the medium tires. No one's been able to touch them this weekend. No one's really been able to touch him for the last few weeks in both this division and in the X2 division, where he is now leading the championship in that as well. So Matrix trying to do something never done before in the history of XRL, winning the championship in 2 different divisions. Frisbee is actually going to inherit the lead. He wants to stay on this set of tires, apparently. Torpedo is going to pit. Ultimate's going to pit. Gabo stays out. DeLevin stays out. Raptor is going to pit, unsurprisingly, as will Dave Ewart. Ocean Lion, he is going to stay out on the mediums. Fizzy is likely, I imagine Fizzy might consider coming in just to get off the softs so he can get on the proper strategy with everyone else, although he will lose track position in the process by doing so. But yes, he will do that. 19 staying out, though. Worsen is going to come in. He wants off the hards. Flavor, I can see Flavor probably staying on the hards. And Jabus John, who crashed earlier while running in 4th, I think he could probably stay out. The mediums that he's on don't have too much wear on them. And yes, he's going to stay out. So in the end, Matrix, who has dominated this race, dominated most of qualifying as well, now is going to restart in 3rd position. But the field's very spread out. It's going to take a long time for everyone to get together. But for the likes of Javis John and Ryan Hurricane, this is great news for them because they will be able to catch up to the back of the grid. But it's going to be a long time until we get to that point. I'm going to try and get Low in one more time. If this doesn't work out, I'm just not going to worry about it. But rough day for the Alpine team. No points at all. So with that in mind, the question becomes now, how does Frisbee on worn mediums and Gabo on similarly worn mediums, how do they back up the field coming to the green flag? 4 drivers not pitting. Jalebin and Ocean Lion also having not pitted. They're now up in the 4th and 5th position. And we're anticipating the mediums can last a little bit longer, but they're not going to last a whole lot longer. But yeah, the top 11 have all gathered back in. Flavor is the next person who needs to catch up to the grid. And by him not pitting, he is now going to move up into 12th position. So the interesting ones will be Ultimate and Zola. Ultimate and the Haas now will have soft tires, fresh softs, and Zola and the McLaren will also have fresh soft tires. So they should be able to make some moves up through the grid, especially as 4 of the drivers ahead of them are on medium tires. Interesting thing for Matrix, he threw on hards, so Matrix is likely going to stay on this set of rubber until the rain falls late in the event. So Matrix thinking big brain strategy long term. Could work out well for him. Him and his teammate Fizzy are on the exact same strategy right now. Speaking of Fizzy, Fizzy is now caught the back of the grid. Mr. Worson's just about to catch the back. So now it's just a question of how long will it take for Ryan Hurricane in 16th to catch Mr. Worson before he can go green. Looks like he's going to catch him shortly, so he should be going green here, lap 16. Yep, there's the word. Safety car coming in this lap. How does Frisbee and Gabo bunch up the field? We're going to ride on board with Matrix at this race start to see what happens. Now, we won't ride on board. That doesn't really give us a good idea of what happens behind, but we're going to follow and see what happens. 2 kinds of Ferrari-powered cars in the top 2. Followed by the Mercedes-powered Aston Martin. Followed by 2 Hondas in the AlphaTauri camp. We're off. Frisbee and Gabo had a good launch. Matrix did not. And farther back, everyone seemed to make it work out. Frisbee having to be defensive against Gabo there. Gabo put a little bit of chrome horn to Frisbee, but is not able to actually move the Haas off the racing line. Zola and Ultimate in a bit of a fight there for a position. But it looks like Ultimate's going to take that and take the spot over Ocean Lion. Gabo loses a position to Matrix, but he takes it back by being good and defensive out of the hairpin. Matrix fighting back. They'll have the inside line, the preferred lane through this corner here. Now it looks like Gabo has the spot for now, but Matrix way faster on the hard tires, fresh hard tires, compared to the worn. Oh, and Worson's had an incident. And the hometown hero has an incident that he's going to have to recover from now. Delebin now up in the 4th, and he runs into the back of Matrix and takes front wing damage. Bad news for Delebin. Torpedo now working on Matrix. Meet fresh mediums versus fresh hards. The Ferrari will have the advantage under braking. Lunges forward, and he will take the position. Frisbee has opened a 1.1 second gap on Gabo. Matrix has fallen to 4th. Ultimate has climbed up to 5th, and he's trying to close in on Matrix ahead. I'm sorry, no, that wasn't Flavor. It was Delebin coming in the pits to repair the damage as Zola fighting with Ultimate, and Zola will take it. The advantage of having faster straight line speed working well for the McLaren. Davey York moves up in the 9th over the other McLaren now. Flavor's there, ready to capitalize. Busy gets by Ryan Hurricane. But at the front, well, near the front, Torpedo close in on Gabo as the skies are beginning to darken. Rain still in the forecast to show up in this race. It has not fallen yet, but a lot of drivers trying to play the game to the best of their abilities and time the call right so their tires are at the max, are at the very end of their life cycle when they pit. Torpedo hanging on to Gabo, but no DRS this time down the straight. Means that Torpedo will have to try and manually get by him into the hairpin if he wants to. Going under braking. He jumps on hard under brakes, pulls alongside, and he gets the spot. But Gabo, a little bit smoother, wider line out of the hairpin means that he's able to get right back behind the Ferrari. But it looks like it's going to work out in the Ferrari's favor. And we've already seen the Ferrari of Torpedo go by both Haas's earlier, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem for Torpedo to go back up into the lead. The big thing is that Zola has gotten by Matrix, and now Ultimate is trying to do the same. Ooh, big twitch by Matrix. That works out well for Ultimate. Ultimate sees a lunge. He goes for it side by side on the run down to the hairpin. And Ultimate now moves up into 5th. Zola now putting pressure on Gabo. Gabo on very warm medium tires. I don't think there's much he can really do to fight back. Ooh, Zola really steps far off the line there. At the front, Torpedo right there behind Frisbee. It seems like an almost guarantee that Torpedo will take the lead this lap. Frisbee defending the inside. He's going to try and force the Ferrari to go outside. Now he goes to the outside. He closes back in, runs the Ferrari into the dirt. Torpedo doesn't care. He keeps the foot in it, and he will take the position going around the hairpin. Frisbee trying to fight back, but the Ferrari has better traction. Frisbee has the inside line. Torpedo has to back out, but he will have DRS now going down, coming to the line. Frisbee will lead that lap, but that will be it. Torpedo now has the lead, and I don't think there's anything that Frisbee will be able to do to fight back. Zola right behind Gabo, looking for a way past. He sees a move. He goes for it. He's trapped on the outside in this corner, but the next corner should work in his favor. He gets a run. There's a spin. It's Ultimate. And that will drop Ultimate down out of the points-paying positions. A rough run as he pushed too far on the soft tires, and it all goes south for him. Matrix hanging out behind Gabo, Gabo behind Zola. Matrix on the hard tires, Gabo on worn mediums. Matrix trying to just move up and gain some positions that he lost initially. Davis Dong gets by XRRL 19 as 19 also struggling with worn rubber. Flavor closing in on Raptor. These two have a little bit of a feud that have developed over last week. Both drivers feeling that the other did not give him proper room at Yas Marina, negatively affecting both their races. Raptor lost very valuable positions, and Flavor ended up getting crashed out as well. But now Ryan Hurricane is in the mix. He wants to shake it up as well. Matrix finally gets by Gabo down the straight with some DRS assist. Ryan gets by Flavor without too much issue. 19 hanging out there behind Davis John. Dave's having trouble keeping up. Seems like tires on his part, he's just not super happy with them. Doesn't seem happy with that Mercedes at all today, honestly. And Ultimate's crashed out. Or no, he's retired in the pits apparently. A strange decision to say the least, but now that means we're down to only one Haas driver left in the race, but he's hanging out in second. Very respectable run by Frisbee at the moment, although Zola is coming. Oh, Torpedo loses the spot to Matrix, and Dave Ewards had an incident. A spin, a crash coming out turn 2, sector 2. The front wing seems fine. It looks like he'll be able to continue, but damage to the car will not help him out. Gabo uses DRS to get by Torpedo farther up the grid. Torpedo fighting back though with draft. He lunges under braking, gets alongside, will take the position, and now Gabo has the advantage afterwards. Matrix holding on to Zola. Zola has DRS on Frisbee. Matrix trying to stay ahead of Torpedo. Dave, another instant there. Zola trying to find a way by Frisbee. Matrix is there, wanting to take advantage of the scenario. Torpedo's not too far out either. A little bit more sunlight is falling back onto the circuit. All right, and now Zola goes to the outside. A little bit of a defensive move by Frisbee to hold him up. Zola, though, has the soft tires. Frisbee has the very worn mediums. This is going to be one of Frisbee's defining drives ever. Worst car. Trying to hold off 3 drivers in better cars, all who also have fresher tires. Zola slides off circuit back there. But the DRS will come in the favor of Zola. Frisbee putting on an outstanding run. Delebin, no, that's not Delebin, that's Ocean Lion, has had an incident, has gone way off circuit there. Now he gets a time penalty for that as well. There's significant broken damage to that car. Torpedo under Matrix. Matrix under Zola. Zola closing that speed on Frisbee. Matrix gets a dived on by Torpedo. And Torpedo using the Danny Rick style dive bombs to make moves. Dave, a spin in Sector 2. Torpedo working on Matrix. Zola on Frisbee. Zola gets the spot over Frisbee now. It took a long time, but it's finally happened. Matrix defending against Torpedo. And it looks like it will work out in Matrix's favor for a bit. Gabo on 19 lap 1 medium tires is still holding on to this fight. And the other Ferrari of James Gunn is closed in on this battle. He has worked his way up into 6th. The big thing to consider is that now Zola has the lead, but Zola is on soft tires, and those softs will start falling off in about 2 or 3 laps, and then the battle will go in favor of Matrix and Torpedo in 3rd and 4th. Ocean Lion retiring in the pit lane after damage. So another DNF. Frisbee will have DRS on the McLaren going down the straight. So he will, without a doubt, use that to his advantage. Will it be enough for him to get alongside? The McLaren's one of the fastest cars on a straight line. DRS now enabled. He is closing. Zola defending the inside. Frisbee dives anyway. He got the nose ahead in the braking zone, but the McLaren faster putting the power down due to the soft tires. Now Matrix trying to make a move on Torpedo there for 3rd. He's got him. But Torpedo's holding steady, side by side for 3rd and 4th. Car steps out for a moment for the Ferrari. And he has to back out. So Matrix takes 3rd for the moment. Davis Don had a little bit of a hiccup, but let 19 back by, so these two kind of fighting on their own for 5th and 6th now, for 6th and 7th now. Gabo impressively holding on to this battle with Matrix and Torpedo, so both Gabo and Frisbee putting in some career-defining drives right now. Torpedo Torpedo time penalty behind Matrix. Frisbee, once again, will have DRS on the McLaren going down the street. It actually seems to be a little bit closer than it was before. Looks to the outside. He's right underneath the McLaren. He's pulling alongside. Drag race down the straight. The McLaren has the advantage for the moment, but now DRS kicks in. Side by side for 3rd. Will it be side by side for a lead going into the hairpin? Frisbee goes to the outside this time. Now this time Frisbee has the better run out, but is not able to put the power down. Zola holds position. Matrix holding position over Torpedo. Everyone has DRS except for Zola right now. Frisbee cannot utilize the DRS to get by the McLaren. He is using it though to hold steady ahead of Matrix, Torpedo, and Gabo still holding on to the back of this fight. The top 5, you could basically throw a blanket over them. Ooh, big twitch from the Ferrari of Torpedo. Gap opens up just a bit now between Zola and Frisbee. Matrix now behind the Haas. But Sector 2 is where the Haas shines as it starts to try and open the gap back up against the Aston Martin. Torpedo right there now behind Matrix on softer tires. Debut or another instant, this one coming out of the hairpin. Bad day for them. Bad day for Fizzy as well, as Fizzy has to pit again. Matrix gets by Frisbee. Fizzy retires at the pits now. So there's only one Aston Martin left on the circuit. Matrix by Frisbee. They both will have DRS down the straight, I imagine. No, Matrix does not have DRS. Frisbee does. This is good news for Zola and very good news for Torpedo. Torpedo wants to make it 3 wide. He's going to the extreme inside. 3 wide going into the hairpin. And Torpedo gets the ball. Matrix gets runs off the circuit. Gabo capitalizes. Now he pulls alongside Frisbee. Outstanding execution by Torpedo. Now Gabo makes the run on Frisbee. Frisbee closing back in on Torpedo. And the good news for Torpedo is that when Zola's tires start falling off, he will be there ready to capitalize. Frisbee fighting back, going through 1 and into 2. Torpedo has the advantage, but Frisbee is putting in an outstanding drive. You see Matrix there behind Gabo, not really able to do anything. The hard tires just not able to really, it seems like they make him just barely even with those warm mediums. So the hard tire is not a great tire choice by the looks of it. Ooh, Matrix into the back of Gabo. Frisbee closing back in on Torpedo. He'll be within a second in the DRS zone. Torpedo more than a second out from Zola in the DRS zone. But Torpedo is closing on Zola, so the soft tires are starting to fall off a bit. Frisbee does have DRS on the Ferrari, but the Ferrari is so far ahead of the Haas, it kind of doesn't matter. At this point, Frisbee just got a little bit of free DRS he can try to use against Gabo. Gabo trying to stay ahead of Matrix. James John, DRS overtake over the Williams. The Williams fighting back in the hairpin. Shoots deep in, and they both run off circuit. They're both taking away a bunch of time from each other, and Zola's into the pits. So Zola cannot go more than 10 laps in those soft tires. So Torpedo goes to the top. Frisbee now second once more. Gabo in third, trying to run down the Haas. And Matrix, who dominated the first section of this race, seems to be struggling in fourth right now. Can't seem to get by the other drivers on racetrack. And 19's had an incident. He gets back underway without too much issue. Also on track, 11 now behind Zola. Zola on brand new mediums. Also note, Flavor still putting pressure on Raptor for points paying positions, and Mr. Worsen is having a fight of his own with 19. Frisbee within DRS range, potentially of the Ferrari. If he doesn't end up being within DRS range by the time they get to the detection point, then Frisbee is going to be swamped by both Gabo and Matrix. Just barely within DRS range. Might not even got a twitch from the Haas. And that won't matter. Now DRS won't matter because both Gabo and Matrix were way faster coming onto the straight. So Gabo will easily walk by the Haas this time, I imagine. The Haas makes a defensive inside line. It won't matter though. Or will it? No, the Haas is able to defend just a little bit longer. But the medium tires that Frisbee was on is coming to the end of their life. He is pushing hard, and I think he might want to continue consider pitting in the next lap or so. Matrix not able to do anything. Frisbee has DRS on Gabo. Does he fight with him to get back into second? Yes, he does. Going around the outside. He gets it. Gabo, contact with Matrix. Gabo and Matrix both go off circuit. And that's great news for James John. Is there any damage to Matrix or Gabo's cars? I do not see front wing damage on Gabo or Matrix. There may be something that I don't see, but Frisbee cut off the air off of Gabo's front wing, and Gabo slid and went right into Matrix's side. They both lost time now to the Haas. And since Sector 2, Mr. Worsen has had a spin. And the hometown hero continues to struggle here at China. Dave Ewart, slow on the main straight. Nearly a lap down. Torpedo 3 seconds over Frisbee. Frisbee has now been 4 seconds over Matrix. So I have to think there is damage to Matrix and Gabo's car. They are way off pace. Now James John is flying down the straight. Yep, so Frisbee and Matrix and Gabo both having damage to their cars in that contact. This works out amazingly for the Ferrari team, and it works out well for Frisbee and the Haas as well. And Matrix, who dominated the first portion of this race, now finds himself out of the points-paying positions. This has also moved Zola up to 8th, Flavor up to 7th, and Raptor is up into 6th position now. Zola's going to be the fastest guy on track for a while, considering he has relatively fresh mediums, although Matrix will be pretty fast as well, because he also has fresh mediums. Still a very interesting race, to say the least. Raptor trying to close in and make something happen to XRRL 19. Raptor does have the tire advantage in this fight. But the field's relatively well spread out at this point in the event. This is really the only scenario where we see guys within a second of each other. Raptor, yes, within DRS range of the McLaren. Or just outside of the DRS range, I'm sorry. But Raptor is able to fight with 19. You see the McLaren closing on the Williams down the straight. Right there within a third of a second. Now we see Jaleb in pain, so it seems like the soft tires are only really able to go for about 10 laps before there ends up being a real bad pace fall off. Still hanging out there in the 6th, behind 19, who is in 5th. Time penalty for James John back there in 3rd. So that works well in Raptor and Flavor's favor because they are the highest up drivers on circuit right now who do not have time penalties. Again, Flavor just outside of DRS range, so he's not able to close in on the McLaren that he's feuding with. Closing in, Raptor throws the McLaren up on the inside under braking. No, he thinks better of it. And 19 pits. He pit at just the right time because, well, for Raptor's perspective, just the right time. So now Raptor gets a free round of DRS. And is now moved up into the 5th position. On Flavor, a spin going into turn 1. And that will drop him to 7th. So his quest to try and overtake Raptor comes to a close there. Matrix now the fastest driver on track, but he's 5 seconds out from the next person on the circuit. The big question, how much longer does Frisbee, and to a lesser extent Jabus John, stay on their set of tires? Frisbee has basically run on this set since being involved in the lap 1 incident. So he's run over half of this race distance on this set of rubber. And there is still no rain in the area. Weather forecast said there would be rain late in the event, but the skies cleared back up, so it wouldn't be the first time that the forecast has been wrong. Worsen has a run on Flavor, not able to do anything in the hairpin, but Flavor fails the quarter, and now Jabus gets by Frisbee. I didn't think he was close enough to make it work, but he is. So Jabus now by Frisbee, and Ferrari 1-2 on the racetrack. Jabus trying to recover from a self-inflicted accident earlier in the race. Flavor struggling on the hard tires to really keep up with Worsen, but Worsen having a very bad time through Sector 2. He's spun through this section of the circuit on about 2 different occasions already. And as these two are fighting, it's bringing Matrix up to them. Matrix is closing at a rate of about 2 seconds a lap on this pair. So I imagine we'll see Matrix get by both of them very shortly here. Field really spread out across the entire board right now, though. You see Matrix now putting pressure on Flavor, as Flavor not able to keep up with Worsen on pace, so the hard tires do not seem to be like a great option. Now closing rapidly on Worsen here. So yeah, Matrix will likely get this position as well, going down the back straightaway with some DRS assist. Also of note, Ryan Hurricane has caught Frisbee. He's within DRS range now. So Williams versus Haas. Haas has the advantage for now. Excuse me, when it comes to track position. But the DRS is in the Williams' favor, and the Williams also has better tires. Although, to be fair, when you're talking about fresher tires being 19 laps compared to 32 laps, it's very easy to see what kind of race it's turned into. But Frisbee has put on an absolutely fantastic drive on that set of rubber. But he's going to have to come off of it sooner rather than later. Frankly, if I was in Frisbee's position, I think it would have probably been better to just put on a set of hard tires on lap 1 rather than the mediums, because, yeah, he's been faster throughout points, but now at this point, he's running the risk of potentially cutting them down after wearing them to the cord. Backwards in Sector 2. And Ryan Hurricane, using some DRS, easily overtakes Frisbee. And for Frisbee, the tires are just so worn that even when he has a smoother line going through a corner, he can't do anything about it. There we are, the Haas driver finally coming into the pits. Out of 4th position. So this will move Raptor up into 4th and Zola up into 5th. Dave Ewart. Spin in Sector 2. And the Haas camp, they're putting on a set of soft tires. Now he's going to come out in about 9th position. They have soft tires, so they're still betting on rain coming sooner rather than later. So the soft tires can only last about 10 laps. So Frisbee betting on rain coming with about 13 laps to go or so at best. Oh, and 19's had an accident. An XRRL 19, an accident coming onto the main straightaway. And that's a virtual safety car. Not a full course, but a virtual safety car. Dave's going to take this chance to go ahead and come in and change tires. What do the leaders do under this? Torpedo stays out, so Dave Ewart's going to go a lap down. Jabus John, though, he wants off this set of rubber. Ryan Hurricane also wants off of his rubber. Raptor, he's also going to... Well, DRS has now been re-enabled, so Raptor could stay out, and yes, he will. He's going to stay out and get track position over Jabus John, Ryan Hurricane. So will his teammate, XRRL Zola. Matrix also will now get back ahead of Ryan and will be able to fight directly with Jabus Don. Jabus is on hard tires. So apparently in the Ferrari camp, they think there's no more rain coming. They don't think rain's going to show up in the race. So Jabus, in that Ferrari camp, they're going hard to the end. And they're going to charge hard to the end. Torpedo, though, now has basically a free pit stop over 2nd place. And 2nd place is on worse tires than he is. So Torpedo has a free pit stop over 3rd as well. So, yeah, this could end up being very interesting for Torpedo. Because he now is in the position that Matrix was trying to get himself into earlier in the event. Farther back, Worson has Ryan on fresher mediums and Frisbee on fresh softs behind him. Frisbee has a run on Ryan Hurricane. And he's ahead of the Williams. And they'll both have DRS going down the straight to close in on Mr. Worsen. But the gap, I think, is too large for the moment. Frisbee on softs, and now Matrix despite Javis John further back there. Here comes Frisbee. He's going to go around the outside and will take the position over Worsen. Worsen's around. The air gets cut off of Worsen's machine. He goes around and falls to 9th. Javis John on hards, now behind Matrix. As Matrix is charging his way up through the grid. We know that the medium tires can go 30 laps. Oh, and Dave's had a spin now coming onto the back straightaway. And the car is the front nose of the car is destroyed. I'm honestly shocked he's still on the track. And it's not torn the entire front suspension apart. So he'll have to pit and repair the damage, and a bad day just gets worse for Dave Ewart. Zola right behind his teammate and will now use DRS to walk by him. So Zola now going to try and close in on Torpedo a bit. Frisbee is just at the fastest lap as he's trying to close at least on Javis Young, who's farther up the grid right now. Worsen, he's coming into the pits. So in that spin, he's probably burned off a good amount of wear on those tires. I'll promote Jalebend up into 10th now. Gabo trying to close in on Ryan. But I think right now Ryan might be a faster driver. Well, he was the last lap, but now Gabo will have DRS on the Williams. Farther up the grid, Davis John has DRS on Matrix. Matrix is charging down on Raptor right now. So I imagine Raptor will have to pit sooner rather than later. Still no hint of rain on the racetrack. So now Javis John has caught Matrix, but Matrix has caught Raptor as well. So I think Matrix will still have the advantage in this fight. for third. Matrix not able to do anything to Raptor yet. But he's there, right underneath the rear wing of the McLaren. So both Matrix and Davis Dawn trying to recover from accidents earlier in the event. In fourth and fifth, they seem to be the two fastest drivers on track, with Frisbee back there in sixth, the next fastest. Maybe Frisbee's faster than them. It's a little bit hard to say. Matrix not able to get by Raptor that lap. So Raptor still has the advantage on track. Raptor defends inside going into the hairpin. Matrix pulls back and will not make the move here. All this fighting has let Zola pull away just a little bit. Ryan Hurricane, Gabo also are continuing their spat for 7th and 8th right now. But this is the most interesting battle on the circuit. This time Raptor is going to be right, having to do everything he can to stay ahead of Matrix. And Ryan has had a spin. He's back underway already. He's had a spin. All right, Matrix now right there behind Raptor. There's no reason he shouldn't be able to overtake the McLaren. But Davis John is going to be there in the Ferrari. Down the straight. Oh, and Gabo has DNF now. Gabo, who has been one of the best drivers all day long, has had a crash. That's a full course safety car. Zola gets a free pit stop. Raptor is going to stay out, though, on very worn tires because he doesn't want to double stack. But Torpedo, who had this massive 26-second advantage, now that advantage is turned against him. Because now he is way ahead of everyone else. And when he pits, he's likely going to lose a position or two. But everyone else on the circuit is paying. Ryan Hurricane's not going to pit. So Ryan's going to pick up a few spots. Davis John pits. Flavor's pitting. Jalebin's pitting. I imagine we're going to see Mr. Worsen pitting and Dave pitting. But Gabo, an incident, and now he is out of the race. Worsen will not pit, so he's going to go ahead and move ahead of Flavor and Jalebin. 10 drivers on the lead lap, 11 on the track, so everyone on the lead lap is still in contention for points right now. Torpedo has a 35-second gap over Raptor, and him and Raptor are both going to have to... All right, coming into the party now is Gabo. Gabo, go ahead, include your audio. What happened out there that took you out?
Well, my tires were really hot around that right-hander, and, well, I spun out.
It's a shame to see that happen, because you were having a great fight there with Ryan Hurricane and just other drivers on circuit. Do you think you can recover from this, though, next week?
Which track? Maybe next week?
It might be Russia. I'm not sure.
Russia. Yeah, it's gonna be tough because Russia is a high-speed track, so I don't know. Hopefully it rains.
All right, well, you put on a good show today, Gabo. It's a shame you weren't able to see it to the end, but thanks for jumping in and talking with us.
Thanks. See ya.
All right, so now at the front, Torpedo had a big enough gap that he was able to throw on soft tires without issue. Raptor, similar scenario, soft tires without issue, and Raptor's going to come back onto the circuit about in the 3rd or 4th position. And it's going to be his teammate Zola, actually, is going to be right ahead of Raptor by the looks of it. So yeah, so McLaren's on soft tires will now be 3rd and 4th. Ryan is up there in 2nd on worn medium tires. We're 16 laps before the end of this race. No rain, and it doesn't seem like rain's coming. So I'm going to be 100% honest. I think we may go to the end of this race without rain. And if so, then it's going to be very interesting because the soft tires will only seem to last about 10, 11 laps. If everyone's staying on softs until the race ends, it could be very interesting. We'll have a lot of drivers sliding out near the end, as opposed Ryan Hurricane and Mr. Worsen, they're on mediums, and we know the mediums can go about 30 laps, although most drivers don't seem to want to take him more than about 20. So Worson and Ryan Hurricane might end up in a good position going to the end. This is going to be a long... We're going to be under safety car for a while. We're probably not going to go green until about lap 43 here. So we're seeing the top 7 have all caught up. Frisbee still having a good run. If he can just keep it on the lead lap and keep it alive to race in, he will walk out here with another round of points for the Haas team. Mr. Worson trying to close into the back of the grid now. So it should be going green this lap now. All right, and we see a safety car pulling out. Torpedo has control. How does he back up Ryan Hurricane and the 2 McLarens? Matrix is still 5th. He's been the fastest driver lap after lap, and he still has no time penalties, so Matrix might be able to squeeze something out of this still. Coming to the green flag. Torpedo has the field bunched up behind him. Down, and he shoots out of the final corner like out of a cannon. Ryan Hurricane not able to keep up at all. Zola trying to put pressure on Ryan now. Ryan holding off the McLaren for the moment. It's kind of bottling up the field behind him. Now Zola gets alongside the Williams. The fresher soft tires working well. He'll easily take that position. Under braking, going around the outside. The Williams tries to fight back, but can't do anything about it. Matrix gets by Raptor further back in the grid. Now it's Matrix's turn to go after Ryan. Raptor scoots out a bit wide, and that's going to leave him open to a potential attack from Jabez John. John's not able to close in time to do anything about it. Frisbee is there in 7th with 11, and 10th gets a time penalty now. In this fight here, everyone's trying to get by Ryan Hurricane, who has very worn medium tires. Matrix should, with no issue, pulling alongside the Williams down the straight. 3 Mercedes-powered cars on top of it, followed by 2 Ferrari-powered cars. There may have been contact between Frisbee and the McLaren of Raptor there, but I could not see for certain. Does not look like it as Frisbee's staying out. Davis Don trying to find a way by both Raptor and Ryan, but there's no room to squeeze by. He goes on the inside. Ryan can't keep the car under him very well. Going into one. Davis now up in the 5th, behind Raptor in 4th. Further back, Frisbee is now the one working on Ryan. Hurricane. Flavor gets by Mr. Worst in there for 8th. Medium tires not paying any dividends right now. I think everyone's either looking at making one more stop or everyone is going to have really bad tires by the end of this race. Frisbee pressuring Ryan Hurricane for the 6th position. Davis Don pressuring Raptor for 4th. Dave Ewarts had a spin coming out of the final corner. Backs it into the wall, but it looks like he'll be able to keep going with no other damage. Ryan Hurricane stays ahead of Flavor for the moment, but how much longer does that stay the case? Davis Don finally trying to get alongside Raptor there. McLaren has a better straight line speed. The Ferrari, though, seems to be stronger just about everywhere else on the racetrack, though. Dave, another spin. Please hold. All right, at the front, near the front, here we are. Davis Don has the run on Raptor, but of note, though, Don has 9 seconds of penalty, Raptor has none, so this will work out in Raptor's favor. Another incident for Dave. He has probably burned everything off those tires, and Matrix has gotten by Zola. So Matrix trying to recover from some poor strategy calls and an accident earlier, trying to get the win. He needs to be within 3 seconds of Torpedo by race in order to make it happen. Zola has DRS and can use that to his advantage, potentially. It's not a guarantee, I'm just saying he potentially could. Zola trying to stay within DRS range of the Aston Martin so he can get back by him in the next straightaway. Actually closes just a bit in Sector 2. And then falls back off there. Okay, so he closes for a bit of Sector 2 and then has a massive fall off. Now it looks like he's going to be out of DRS range, so he can... The McLaren not any good, it seems, in the twisties. So Matrix has to make up about 2 seconds on Torpedo till race in. It is going, when the leader crosses the line, it will be 10 laps to go. Still no evidence of rain falling on the circuit. Jalebin gets by Flavor for the 8th position now. Raptor sees Jabus Don closing again. Raptor holds the outside. Jabus dives bomb to the inside. Neck and neck, crossover. Don takes the spot over Raptor. Oh, and John's around! In the same way that he crashed earlier in the event, he is now out of the race! And that is a full course safety car! And James John, one of your championship contenders, crashes the same way, and the second time, it does not survive contact with the wall. And now, the question is, as dark clouds are descending on the circuit, are we going to see rain? And if we do see rain, now that safety car, does everyone go ahead and throw on intermediate tires to the end? I think they do. Because right now, it looks like we'll probably be going green with about 7 laps to go. Dave Ewart's able to come into the pits, and this means, though, that Dave will be able, assuming he doesn't crash out into the safety car, Dave will end up in the top 10. So if Dave can make it to about lap 51, 52, he will have crossed the 90% mark, and that will mean that Dave will walk out of here with points. He's not home free yet, but he's coming close to that point. Half point, literally. And I think, yes, rain is beginning to fall on the racetrack. And now everything gets interesting. Because it will take a while for the track to wetten up, but you might as well throw on intermediate tires. Torpedo is not going to throw on intermediate tires, though. Not yet. What about Matrix? Matrix does not. Zola does not. Raptor does not, but Frisbee will likely throw on intermediates. Ryan Hurricane's coming in, and not only will he throw on intermediates, he's going to try and take some of that time, those time penalties off as well, I imagine. Mr. Worson's coming in. Dave's already thrown intermediates on. Only thing is for Dave, maybe it may have been too early, but it kind of doesn't matter. He's on a lap on his own. For right now, his concern is just staying alive to the end of this event. Anything that can reduce the chance of him spinning out will be good. So now, Frisbee, Ryan Hurricane, and Mr. Worson all have intermediates on. If they catch the back of the grid and then the top 6 all elect to come in and start pitting, they will gain a bunch of track position. So this may have worked out well for these 3 to have pitted now. The gap between 6th and 7th is 22 seconds. So obviously Frisbee's going to want to close that gap down as much as he can so he can capitalize if / when the leaders pit this lap. Well, and Dave goes around again. It's been one of those days for him, obviously. Frisbee is not closing on the lead group at the rate he needs to. So as it stands right now, if Torpedo pits, I think Torpedo would still walk out here with the race lead. I say that, Frisbee just closed a bunch there. And Dave crashed out, and he's out of the event. So he will not get points, and there are only 9 cars left on the track now. And now Frisbee is closing on the leaders, so yes, if Torpedo pits this lap, if anyone pits this lap, then we'll put Frisbee, Ryan Hurricane, and Worson up the grid. Do the leaders pit? No, the top 4 do not pit. Top 5, top 6, no one in the top 6 positions pit. But the track is wettening up now. You can see drops of rain on the circuit as we ride on board with XRRL Flavor. Nine cars left on track, and we're likely to see the green flag this lap by. Flavor has had a spin, so the track is now so wet that they're struggling to keep the car on circuit under safety car. Flavor now falls to 8th after that spin. That's not going to help him whatsoever. So I think everyone who's on the soft tires, they have to pit this lap. but they're coming to the green flag. I think for Frisbee, Ryan Hurricane, and Worson, this just gave them a free podium. Well, maybe not for Ryan, because Ryan still has 10 seconds of penalties. For Frisbee and Worson, I think this just gave them free podium positions. Yeah, safety car coming in this lap, but again, everyone from first through fifth, and then Flavor definitely in eighth, they're all gonna have to pit to put on intermediate tires. So I think Frisbee's gonna walk out here with this race win. Coming to the green flag. Torpedo has control of the field, but is he going to pit, and does he bunch up the field coming to the green? Because here's the thing, if Frisbee or Worson or Ryan even take damage coming to the green flag, then that might kill their race. Ryan on board with Frisbee. Sixth, the top 5 ahead of him are on slick tires on a wetting racetrack. They will be going green with 7 laps to go. Who in the lead pits? Raptor, 11, stay out. They will stay out, but everyone else pits. We're under the green flag now. And Frisbee immediately has a run on Jalebin going down the straightaway. Raptor trying to open up the gap. Jalebin can't do anything whatsoever to fight. He already loses 2 positions in a straightaway alone to Frisbee and Ryan Hurricane. We'll see Mr. Worson go by him nice and quick as well, I imagine. Flavor also stayed out. Very bizarre choice there. Raptor already losing a position to Frisbee. Oh, but Frisbee is off, and Raptor spins! And the decision to stay out has gone bad for Raptor now as well. Jalebin still hanging out in third, but he is way off pace. Torpedo 20 seconds out from 6th place alone, although he's closing fast because Flavor and Raptor have to be so cautious around the circuit because they have no grip whatsoever right now. I have to wonder why those two did not elect to pit. Maybe I could understand for Raptor, he elected not to pit so as order to make sure that Zola would be able to pit and they weren't double stacking, but now there's damage on the McLaren. So yeah, Raptor has thrown away what could have been a decent point stay. Flavor is off again as well. The track is too badly soaked to do anything with. So Frisbee, Ryan Hurricane, and Mr. Worson look like they might walk out of here with podium finishes. We're anticipating to see Jalebin, Flavor, and Raptor all pit this lap. And when they do, it will promote Torpedo up into 4th. Yep, here comes Jalebin. And Flavor will be coming into the pits this lap, surely. Yep, there it is. So yeah, Torpedo now goes up to 4th. Matrix is going to end up moving up into 5th. Don't know why they thought it was a good idea to stay out on a wet racetrack, but it is what it is. All right, Raptor made it in. So as we now switch to penalties, penalties will be the big thing that wins the race now. As it stands, as we swap to gap to the leaders, Matrix will finish 4th. Worson will take 2nd from Hurricane, and that seems to be the majority of the changes that we'll see on the racetrack. For the McLaren team, on one hand, it looks like they're going to get both of their cars in the points, but on the other hand, not even remotely competitive. Raptor had a decent chance and threw it away by electing not to pit. Matrix trying to get within 3 seconds of Torpedo in the Ferrari. If he can, he will be able to stay ahead of the Ferrari and further his lead in the points. Second in points didn't even show up for today's race. Third and fourth were the Ferraris, and we already see Jay Bastion out of the race. And Torpedo is back there in fourth. He's more than 40 points out coming into this event. So if Matrix can just stay within 3 seconds of Torpedo, Matrix will start putting a solid hand on the championship before we're even at season's end. Before we're even halfway through the season, to be honest. But it does seem like the rain is slowing Matrix's pace down just a little bit. But at the front, Frisbee has hung out near the front of the race pretty much all day today. And although he has gotten a time penalty, some good strategy calls are working out in his favor, and he is looking to walk out of here with a victory. 1.3 seconds over second place, and second place Ryan Hurricane has more than triple the amount of time penalties that Frisbee does. When Frisbee crosses the line, this time it will be 4 laps to go, and Delebin has had an accident. And out of 7th position, Delebin has had a crash, and that will take him out of the event. Frisbee just got a time penalty. We're going to try and get Delebin into the party real quickly here. But Delebin has made it past the 9% mark, so he will at least get 9th place points. Matrix falling off of Torpedo. Looking really quickly at fastest lap of the day, because in the rain, obviously, that's not going to improve. Torpedo actually has the point for fastest lap, so this could work out well for him. But now it's basically a case of just watching the clock tick away. The tires are, yeah, sure, the top 3 have slightly more worn tires, but it's such a short run to the end, and intermediate tires last for so long under normal wet conditions that tire life's not going to be an issue. Christ alive, Mr. Worsen, it looks like he's going to steal a podium after having made 5 stops over the course of this race. Impressive. This man here, Frisbee, it's 3 laps to go right now. He just needs to not screw up, and he can get revenge. He got screwed out of the win that he had at Montreal in the Haas. DQ'd from that after, I'm not even 100% sure why he was, but he got DQ'd from that. Now, he's trying to rebound from that and take home the victory here today at China. Frisbee has earned more points for the Haas camp than any of their other drivers this season. He's opening up a bit of a gap on Ryan in second, but still has 4 seconds advantage, the Haas does, when it comes to time penalties. So, yeah. Now, depending on circumstances, Ryan might get those 10 seconds worth of time penalties removed post-race, because I believe they were given after he crashed out and then trying to merge onto the circuit. He was, quote, cutting the track. So those 10 seconds might get removed for Ryan. No guarantee. If that happens, then that would steal the win away from Frisbee, sadly. But still, that would be a very, very good spin for Frisbee, still coming home second. Entire field very much spread out at this point, though. There's absolutely no battles on the racetrack. White flag in the air for Frisbee. One more lap that he just needs to perfect, and he can bring home a win for the Haas team. By far the worst car on the grid, but they put the best drivers in the worst cars for a reason. Back straightaway for a last time for the Haas driver of Frisbee. He's opened up 4.5 seconds on Ryan Hurricane. He honestly, if he wants things to work out well, he'd want Ryan Hurricane to make a mistake, so Ryan's more than 6 seconds out, just in case those 10 seconds do get removed. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen because they're coming to the last corner as it is. All right, coming to the checkered flag, Frisbee will win in the Haas machine. Second place will go to Ryan Hurricane. Third will go to Mr. Worsen. Well, second actually goes to Mr. Worsen. I'm sorry. Oh, and Torpedoes crashed. Torpedoes had an incident. And Matrix at the very end of the race steals fourth from Torpedo. Did he run out of fuel or something? He didn't run out of fuel, but whatever happened, Matrix got Torpedo at the very end of the race there. And then Zola will come home 6th, Flavor is going to come home 7th, and Raptor will come home 8th. But Frisbee is your race winner here. All right, and coming into the party now is your race winner, Elf Frisbee. Frisbee, go ahead, include your audio. The win at Montreal was stripped from you but you've made up for it here at China. What do you have to say about an outstanding drive today?
This one might be stripped from me too. Because Ryan's 10 seconds are going to get removed, so mine going to be PT.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, still, irregardless, I do want to say at one point you were on tires that were about 30 laps old, and you still were able to cruise along with drivers in faster cars with way better tires for a large portion in the middle part of the race.
Yeah, I had a really good pace around here, which is surprising because I'm usually not very good around here. But, I was actually just going to drag the mediums all the way to the rain, but then Jeff said the rain wasn't going to happen, and then it rained a few laps later. Normal Jeff things. I wish I didn't get that 6 seconds at the end. It was a stupid mistake. But I had a good battle with Torpedo. I was able to fight him for like 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, even if it ends up being a second, still, it was an outstanding drive considering we know how inferior the Haas hardware is to everyone else. Do you think you'll be able to replicate this again going forward this season?
Honestly, I thought after I couldn't race in Australia, I thought Australia was my last chance of getting probably a win in the Haas on pace. But then I was quick here, and then I messed up my qualities. Maybe Audi or something like that. Maybe Portimao. Portimao will be a stretch, but Audi might be a good chance.
All right. Well, I do want to say thank you very much for being willing to jump in and talk with us here. And now I want to go ahead and talk to our second place finisher, Mr. Worson. Worson, go ahead and include your audio. The hometown hero, at least I'm saying that because I'm assuming you're Chinese because you use the Chinese flag. The hometown hero comes home with a second place finish after multiple spins today. What do you have to say about your race? Can you hear me? I hear static from your mic, but I don't hear you. Here, try leaving the party and then joining back in. Leave the party and I'll re-invite you, and maybe that will help. All right, well, we're having trouble getting Mr. Worson to come back into the party, and we've not gotten anything from Ryan Hurricane either. Frisbee seems to think that Ryan Hurricane will get the 10 seconds removed post-race. So if that happens, Ryan will end up being the race winner. We're also going to try and send one more invite to Ryan, but I don't think it's going to work out. And really, if no one else jumps in... Okay, 1 second. One second. Yeah, so Mr. Worson says that he's not going to be able to join because of the mic issues just being too much. So, kind of a shame there. But irregardless, I do want to say outstanding job to the hometown boy in Mr. Worson, coming back from numerous spins to come home with a second place finish. Good job there. Although that might end up getting turned to third, but still, either way, a great run there. Not been able to get in contact with Ryan Hurricane. He might walk out here with this win later in the week when penalties might get removed. It's up in the air to see how that's going to go. But outstanding job, as in the end, it was just a good, smart strategy called that game, brought home the win. And for two drivers, Flavor and Flavor and Raptor, bad call to just not pit under the safety car whatsoever dropped them into 8th and 9th where they had no chance of making up ground whatsoever. So in the end, sometimes you can race the greatest race you want, but a stupid call can ruin it for you. Only 8 drivers ran at the end of today's race as well, so a very chaotic event. But anyways, tomorrow on the same channel, the main channel, at 5 p.m. UK time will be the X1 race. I will be covering the X3 race on the alternate channel at the exact same time. Then at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow will be the X2 race. All 3 of those will be at China. Until then, though, I've been Insane Layer 13. I want to say thank you for watching today's